Two-time Oscar nominee Jeremy Renner has played superhero Hawkeye 7 times in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but he showed the world what real strength is in his incredible recovery after being crushed by a 14,000-pound snowplow. Oh. Yeah. Now he's showing how he never lost his fighting spirit in the new memoir, My Next Breath. Please welcome Jeremy Renner.
This is awesome.
Is it?
First of all, yeah.
To be surrounded by women.
Yeah, I grew up with all women.
Yeah.
Man,
Did you?
Yeah, it made me a badass
It's what he
man.
knows.
Yeah.
But first of all, it is unbelievably great to see you.
It's good to be seen.
Baby, this was no joke. And the book tells the story of this accident and the incredible recovery. But the very first line you say, you didn't want to write this book.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, the idea of having to, it's like a year after the incident happened, and the idea to write it was interesting to me, but I now have to relive the moment and word by word, kind of go through the details of it. So, but I quickly had to get out of my own way. It was important. It didn't just happen to me, this incident. It happened to my poor nephew, who I tried to save, who I can't make him unsee those images of me dying on the ice. He was 27 at the time, 28 at the time. My poor mother, who received a phone call, 13-hour drive to get to me in the ICU.
Oh, God.
In a coma. It happened to a lot of people in my family, 25 people that were there during the incident. So I had to get out of my own way to share, help heal with them. Yeah. And also there's so much, there's a lot of people that go through struggle and a lot of people that have obstacles in life. It doesn't have to be life or death or some sort of tragedy. I think we all have struggles. And there's a lot of gifts I received from overcoming insurmountable odds to survive and live. And I thought it was important to share.
Well, the one thing that makes all those images and those phone calls worth it is that you're here, because they could have ended differently.
Look, it's a harrowing book.
Yeah.
But we know how it ends.
Yeah.
Right? We know how the movie ends on this
And there's
one,
usually not happy endings on this.
Yeah.
But I want you to take us back to that New Year's in 2023. You had been clearing snow from your property with your nephew, and then in a flash, you were run over by a 14,000-pound snowplow. You broke 38 bones, collapsed a lung, lost 6 quarts of blood, and had to wait on the ice for 45 minutes until the paramedics could get to you. Every breath being a struggle. How vividly do you remember it?
Every detail, I thank goodness I didn't pass out, because I wouldn't be here if I did. And I'm so blessed that I was awake for it all, even though now I remember all those details. A lot of traumatic incidents like that, a lot of people sort of pass out and they're in a coma and they wake up. They forget about it. But I was glad, even though it's sort of, they're not great for night terrors and things like that. Yeah. But it's so good that I was awake, because it did keep me alive. And the struggle to exhale and inhale was with every fiber of my body to survive. I see my eye with my other eye out on the ice. I see my legs twisted up. I'm like, I'll worry about those later, right?
Yeah.
I gotta get my next breath. Otherwise, it's all for naught, right? So it doesn't matter.
You write about using the H.
Yeah, the huffing of the H helps me breathe. And look, it all came from like the Lamaze breathing. I learned at 12 years old, Lamaze breathing with my mom. Yeah. And didn't know that at that point at 12 years old, that was going to be a skill set to help me save my life.
Yeah. Well, you walked out to a song that you wrote about this called Survive. It's excellent. But there was a point that you write about, a point in time where, waiting for medics to arrive, you write, I died right there on the driveway to my house. I know I died. In fact, I'm sure of it. What do you remember from dying in that experience?
It's always kind of tough to talk about it. But I feel like I realized in time that there's so many shared experiences that people have when they have a near-death experience, I've learned. It's like a real thing. And how congruent they all are. There's similar experiences, and I think it's quite beautiful. I can say this, that love is the only thing that you take with you. It is the only thing essential and that exists even in life here now in our bodies, but then in our spirit. It is, it's the DNA of our spirit. Like love is the only thing that really matters. Even like hate can't exist, right? It only exists on the coattails of love, right? It's a pretty beautiful space, and sadly, I got ripped back from this beautiful space into a busted old body. I saw my eyeball again and my twisted legs. I'm like, okay, I gotta figure this out. And I'm really glad I didn't go.
You still have a sense of humor, though.
You have to, even through it, right?
Good.
Even through it, like when you were saying about the H things, I was screaming hookers and whores and ham sandwiches, and by the way, I also had the peace of mind to roll my eyeball onto the ice to preserve the eye. I mean, I was doing all these things. Like, there's no rules in the recovery. There's no rules and laws in trying to survive, man. You do anything and everything you can to survive. And I was doing it. And I was also using humor to, like, try to laugh at, like, how absurd my death is about to be.
Well, I mean, there are lots of reasons to try to remain when you feel you're on your way out. That's the movie Ghost. It's love, you take it with you. That's the last thing he says, I think, to Molly. So it's good to know that it's not just a movie
It's
line.
not just a movie, no, it's
But your family has been by your side through all of this. And your 12-year-old daughter, who also, you write, Ava.
Yes.
You write about seeing her for the first time almost 2 weeks after the accident.
Correct.
You share an essay she wrote about the first time you picked her up from school. What was it like to go through this as a parent? Is that part of what tethered you to remember?
Well, look, there was a point where I went through 2 ICUs, 6 days apiece, and all the surgeries, and got home. And again, you're pretty loaded on drugs and things like that to mitigate pain. And for a brief moment, I may have even forgotten about parenting, right? It wasn't like part of like my thinking at all. I was just trying to do anything and not die. And when my daughter was in front of me, the clarity that came to me was unreal, because now I see the fuel for my recovery. I have to get better for her. I saw fear in my daughter's eyes, and I worked so hard as a parent to give her strength, to give her confidence, to not have fear in her life. And I'm the one that now gave it to her because of this incident. So it was my duty to work with her. I gave her like tasks to help her with her own fear. I'm like, look, I just have broken bones. It's gonna be fine, but I need you to be my arms, my legs, if you could help me out. But if you wait for me, I promise you, if you wait for me, I'll get better. And here we are.
And you did.
And we did. And then so this essay she wrote about the most proud moment that she's had. It's me picking her up from school, and I was in a wheelchair the last she saw me the day before, but then I snuck out of the house. No one knew. And I drove to go pick her up because I needed a new milestone in my life for recovery, and I wanted to share with my mom and my daughter.
Could you see what you were doing? Could you
What's that?
see when you were driving?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, The eyeball, that went in really quickly. It really did. I could see better out of it now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there's no joke. Yeah, so they duct taped that thing in and they pushed it back in. It was fine. It really was no big deal.
I know, and I thought cataract removal was a miracle.